I'm telling you, once you start practicing your speech just a few more times, take a look at these notes, you will get the hang of this.
This video is brought to you by our new video gear for mobile users list. Our most recommended list equipment to bring your video quality of your phone from a beginner to a pro without emptying out your wallet. Make sure to check out the links in the description of this video below.
How to actually speak to the camera, and you're gonna love tip number 1. Relax. It's so important that you need to relax. Like, number 1 most important thing. You know what I mean? And again, like all the clients I ever work with, almost predominantly, I have to ask all of them to just relax. And I ask all of them to breathe. You know what I mean? And I can see this from the get-go. Like, we'll start speaking, within 30 seconds, I can see they're getting very tense, they're getting anxious, and I literally ask them to inhale and then exhale. And it's very easy, and it helps you get rid of stress and anxiety. So relax. It's okay. You know what I mean? Don't worry about what other people are thinking. Don't worry about possible mistakes, because chances are it's probably not going to happen. And if it does happen, guess what? You can always do it again. And even myself, like, how many videos have I spoken in? I make mistakes literally all the time. You know what? You redo it and you move on. That's how the system works. Here's a technique. Speak loudly and clearly. So you're going to make sure that you're very carefully pronouncing each word. Don't slur them. Don't trip over words. Make sure you're focusing on getting every single word out there and it's clear. Okay? And the other thing, and this goes to tip number 2 when it comes to speaking clearly, is speak slowly. It gets very easy when you get nervous to speed up. And trust me, I've done this before. So if you feel very, very nervous, do yourself a favor and slow down. And here's the other benefit when you focus on slowing down. You're coming up with words off the top of your head, right? It really helps when you speak slowly. It gives you time to come up with the things that you're going to say. If you're speeding up, you're going really, really quickly, you're more likely to have pauses, to say or ah, because you're not focusing on what you should be saying. It's coming way too fast. So slow down. And it's going to feel very weird at first. It always does. But eventually it just becomes normal. Like right now, you know, I might sound a little more slow. I might sound like I'm speaking more slowly than ever. But you know what? It was weird to me at first, but now I've come to just be comfortable with it. It just becomes a habit. Despite, you know, if you have a microphone, if you have recorders and whatnot, and they can pick up, you know, everything across, a general rule of thumb across the world is you need to speak loudly and clearly and slowly. All right, here's the other thing that many people don't do is they don't look at the camera. Yes, the camera can be intimidating, but as I said before, pretend that it's a person. Now, would you look elsewhere when you're talking to a person? And sometimes we get distracted, but that's a different case scenario. I'm talking about, I know people, I have spoken to people who just will not look at you in the eye whatsoever. It's considered to be very impolite and very unprofessional. Same thing goes with the camera. You don't want to be looking elsewhere. You want to look at the camera, because on the opposite end, when someone is looking at the video, they feel that you're looking at them, and therefore you can create a connection. Focus on the camera. And just a little side note, because I know a lot of people are going to be making videos on their phones, and you're probably doing the same thing. Everyone likes to look at the screen, but you got to look at the camera, which is different. You know what I mean? When you go back and you watch the video, you're going to notice that your eyes are looking to the left or to the right. It's usually to the right of where the camera actually is. You got to look directly at the camera. You're creating eye contact for your audience. And again, it feels weird now, but you do it a few times, you practice, and it becomes habit. Slightly obvious, but I'm going to point it out anyways, is don't say or ah. These are filler words. This is what you say when you can't think of what to say next. And you've heard this before. So you go, well, My name is James Martin. I'm from Magic Cut Media and Promotion. We do this all the time. You've got to be conscious about this and try so hard as best you can. Don't say or ah. And actually, I had a friend, a coach who taught me this special technique, which is if you feel tempted to say or ah, just pause. That's it. You know what I mean? If you feel like saying or ah, just pause and then continue. Pauses are a lot more natural than saying or ah. They are also cleaner and more professional than saying or ah. No one minds it. And you know what? I'm in the moment when it feels very nervous and very, very anxious, and you pause for 2 seconds, it feels like forever. But you know what? For everyone else, it's literally happening in a split second. It really is. So just do yourself a favor and just pause when you can't think of what to say. And you know what? It also gets taken as a dramatic effect. You know what I mean? So you might make a point and then pause and then say something else. And it makes you sound like a very good experienced speaker because people do it all the time for effect. So take pauses. Don't say or ah. Take small pauses. This is my personal thing. Feel free to move your arms. And what I mean by that is so many people stiffen up, and this happens when you feel stressed and anxious, is you stiffen up. Your hands are by your side, and this doesn't help you relax. What happens when you relax? Your hands are up to the side a little bit more. You might have your hands in your pockets or in your hips or up beside you. Feel free to use your arms. You know what I mean? And I say not too much. You're not flapping your arms. You're not doing something very crazy and very distracting. But you can move your hands. You can move your arms a little bit. What does this do? The big thing about using arms is it helps expresses yourself, but also it helps you relax. The closer you are together, like when you're huddled and you're feeling stressed and anxious, the more nervous you're going to get. But as soon as you open up, you feel safe. You start relaxing. And it does help. It really does. So please, feel free to move your arms. No one's faulting you if you use your arms. Please do so. Have an open stance with your feet and legs. Same thing, feet shoulder width apart. Again, if you're closed in, you're going to feel more stressed and more anxious. Open up and relax. And finally, before you start, take one big breath in. You know what I mean? You could even try that right now. Just take a moment, everyone. Breathe with me. 1, 2, 3. And then breathe out. Don't you feel relaxed already? So those are literally the technical things you need to focus on. This is about speaking technically. This is about being an effective speaker. If you don't do all of this, the problems you're going to start running into is you're not going to be heard clearly. You're not going to look confident. You're not going to look effective. You know what I mean? This is all about creating a very confident and effective speaker. And this is like basic 101 techniques. And this is something you will develop and you can adapt over time. And these aren't super complicated. Number 1, just relax. Number 2, speak loudly and clearly and slowly. And just, again, practice. If you're not sure if you can do it and you think that, I keep, speaking softly or I speak too quickly, just take a moment and practice. In a car ride, in your office, on the way to work, while you're walking, you can talk to yourself. It's totally fine. And just focus on not saying. If you're the type of person who also likes talking to yourself, like I do, you can also focus on, consciously trying not to say or ah. You know what I mean? When you look at the camera, you can focus on talking to people and look at them square in the eye. You know what I mean? These are all things that you can easily adapt and easily tackle. I'm telling you, once you start practicing your speech just a few more times, take a look at these notes, you will get the hang of this.